So you know how people have like those notes apps on their phone and a lot of the times they can just have like the most random notes in there? Well, yeah, something about me, I actually have a note that I've been editing for like 2 or 3 years now that is just an ongoing list of turn-based JRPGs that I want to play, just games that I have found just through Reddit that people say are like critically acclaimed, very good games. Now I've kind of got the obvious ones, Final Fantasy 1 through 10, Dragon Quest 1 through 7, and then I've got like Earthbound, Mother 3, Secret of Mana, Lost Odyssey. I actually do realize I do have Octopath Traveler 2 on here. I can actually cross that off my list now. That was an awesome game, by the way, but one game that is on here that I really didn't know much about, and I still kind of don't know much about, that is Xenogears. Now, I have heard about the Xenoblade Chronicles series, and just the Xeno games in general, but I guess just over the years of looking through like Reddit threads, I have, I guess, found that the very first one in the series is the best, I guess. Now, if you didn't know, it turns out Xenogears was actually made by Squaresoft, which would end up being Square Enix. But then every single game in the series after that, including present-day Xenoblade games, would be made by a company called Monolith Soft. Now, they were started in October of 1999, so they just had their 25th birthday. Now, when they started out, they were owned by Bandai Namco, but in 2007, they were actually bought out by Nintendo. I guess sort of. Yeah, so this is where it's kind of weird. So Monolith Soft, just as an entire company, while they were bought out, they weren't actually owned entirely by Nintendo. Nintendo has owned the majority of the Monolith Soft stock, I believe pretty much ever since they have bought them out in 2007, but they didn't own 100% of the company. But it actually just turns out that some people have found on their website that that is actually changed, because Nintendo does now own 100% of that company, which is pretty big for Nintendo, because obviously it is a very successful company. The Xenoblade games, they do very well. So as far as when this happened, it's kind of interesting. So people used the Wayback Machine on their website, and they found that before October 1st, Nintendo owned 96% of the company's shares. So the other 4% was apparently owned by the co-founders of Monolith Soft. Yeah, they were still holding on to those stocks. But then using the Wayback Machine, people have found that sometime between October 1st and November 21st of this year, so probably about, a month or two ago, Nintendo ended up then owning 100% of the shares. So I don't know why the co-founders decided to sell their remaining shares, but yeah, now Nintendo owns 100% of the company. So like I said, definitely very good for them. It is interesting too, because besides the Xenoblade games, I see that Monolith Soft has actually helped quite a bit with other just core Nintendo games. They've worked on like the Animal Crossing games and Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. It is kind of interesting that Nintendo did what is, I guess, a buyout in 2007, but they didn't own 100% of the company. I didn't really know that it could work like that. But regardless, I'm sure this is a pretty good move for Nintendo. Xenoblade is going to have the Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition coming out, I believe, next year, it looks like. Overall, pretty cool stuff. I'll definitely have to look a little bit more into the Xenoblade series. Maybe I'll have to add a few more of those games onto my list. In my opinion, when compared to Xbox and PlayStation, Nintendo is not really known for acquisitions as much as those other companies. But with Monolith Soft, at least in 2007, I guess it was a bit different. They probably saw some promise in them. And now, as it turns out, it's kind of gone full circle. Now Nintendo actually owns all of that company.